In November 2025, China's newest supercarrier arrives south of Okinawa, ready to flaunt its power. Japan's stealth F-35s slip overhead, unseen until they choose to reveal themselves, catching China's fleet completely off guard. Viral proof surges online, while official silence deepens. How did this high-tech duel unfold, and why did everything change with a single unexpected flyby? At 5:30 a.m. local time on November 10th, the carrier Fujian departed Yulin Naval Base, accompanied by two Type 055 destroyers, two Type 052D destroyers, and a Type 901 supply ship. By midday on November 11th, commercial satellite imagery placed the task group inside a designated training area south of Okinawa. From November 12th to 18th, the carrier group maintained a steady east-west patrol across the Philippine Sea, with daily deck activity confirmed by both satellite imagery and automatic identification system data, providing continuous surveillance of operations. J-15 fighter launches were logged at regular intervals, including daylight sorties on November 12th and November 14th. On November 12th, a Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force P-1 patrol aircraft flew a low-level pass at 9:42 a.m., capturing images of flight operations and escort ship patterns. On November 13th at 1:15 p.m. local, Japan Air Self-Defense Force F-35A fighters departed Nutabaru Air Base for a medium-altitude surveillance mission, transiting the Miyako Strait and reaching the Fujian Group's airspace by early afternoon. Additional P-1 patrols were recorded on November 15th and November 17th, each collecting photographic and radar data. Throughout the period, no deviations from the published training box were observed, and all Japanese surveillance flights remained outside 12 nautical mile territorial boundaries. Fujian stands apart from earlier Chinese carriers, not just by size, but by what sits beneath its deck. The ship's electromagnetic catapult system, validated during these exercises, enables rapid, high-stress launches of heavier and more advanced jets than steam catapults allow. For the first time, the People's Liberation Army Navy deck crews worked with a full air wing composed of J-15 fighters, rumored stealthy J-35 prototypes, and at least one KJ-600 airborne early warning aircraft. The carrier's S-band active electronically scanned array, Type 346B, provides wide area surveillance, but its ability to detect low observable threats remains an open question. On November 12th, satellite images captured a flurry of deck activity, J-15s taxiing, elevator cycling, and deck crews coordinating sorties in close succession. Reports indicate that the electromagnetic catapult ran multiple cycles each day, pushing new airframes to operational limits. The presence of stealth-configured jets on deck drew particular attention from analysts, hinting at ambitions beyond regional defense. Yet every new system introduces its own vulnerabilities, sensor coverage gaps, integration challenges, and the pressure of untested technology in a live operational setting. Japan Air Self-Defense Force F-35A fighters departed Nutabaru with a mission profile designed around stealth and precision. Their route threaded the Miyako Strait, maintaining a cruise altitude between 20,000 and 25,000 feet, high enough to maximize sensor coverage, but low enough to stay beneath long-range search radars. Electronic emission control was absolute. Radios remained silent, radar was left passive, and every system stayed in its lowest observable configuration. The fighter's flight path skirted the edge of the Fujian Group's airspace, always outside the 12 nautical mile limit, where international law draws a clear boundary. Each maneuver was calculated to minimize radar cross-section, presenting only the narrowest angle to the carrier group's sensors. The formation held its altitude, avoiding sudden climbs or turns that might betray their presence on electronic surveillance. Every checklist item, from surface treatment to bay door integrity, was double-checked before departure to preserve the low observable profile of the aircraft. The lead pilot, still unnamed in official records, set the tone for strict discipline. No unnecessary transmissions, no deviation from the planned corridor, and no exposure until the right moment. This was a surveillance sortie conducted in near silence, designed to leave no trace until the pilots themselves chose otherwise. From the moment the F-35s reached their assigned altitude, the cockpit atmosphere was tense but controlled. Orders from Nutabaru had been clear: maintain stealth, avoid provocation, and gather evidence of the Fujian Group's operations. The rules of engagement allowed for passive surveillance only, with strict electronic emission control, radios off, sensors passive, and no radar sweeps. Yet as the formation held station above the carrier group, the lead pilot weighed doctrine against the reality unfolding below. J-15 cycled sprinkled on the deck, crew movements visible through breaks in the clouds. The temptation to remain invisible was strong, but so was the urge to send a message. In the debrief, the pilot later described the decision. "We wanted to make clear, your carrier group can be overflown whenever we wish, without you ever seeing us, unless we want you to." At 1:15 p.m., the lead F-35 dropped below 10,000 feet, leveled off, and made a slow pass over the Fujian flight deck. A gloved hand rose in a deliberate wave, then the jet made a steady climb back to altitude. The carrier command center scrambled for answers, but the moment had already passed. Inside Fujian's Combat Information Center, the atmosphere thickened as operators scanned for answers. At 13:04, radar teams logged a faint, irregular return at 43 kilometers, an anomaly that did not match any standard track. The watch officer, Lieutenant Commander Zhou, hesitated. Was it atmospheric interference, a civilian aircraft, or something else? The electronic support measures console swept for emissions, but found nothing. On the bridge wing, a lookout caught a dark shape descending from the clouds. By 13:13, the sighting was relayed below. In the Combat Information Center, the captain and senior staff gathered, eyes fixed on overlapping radar plots and status boards. No one could confirm a lock. Orders hung in the air. Should they scramble fighters, raise the alert, or hold steady? The debate stretched for nearly 15 minutes. Every option risked either overreacting or missing a genuine threat. With no electronic signature and only fleeting visual contact, the captain chose restraint. No intercept was launched. By 13:20, the unidentified silhouette had vanished into the upper haze. The bridge log noted the incident as a photo opportunity missed. Open source simulations conducted by CSIS and Japanese defense analysts offer a technical verdict on the Fujian Group's sensor performance. When a low observable aircraft like the F-35A maintains strict emission control and an optimal frontal aspect, the probability of detection by a shipborne S-band AESA radar, such as Type 346B, drops sharply. Modeling for the November 13th flight profile, medium altitude, no emissions, clean configuration, yields a detection likelihood of less than 30% inside 75 kilometers. At these ranges, the radar horizon and sea clutter further reduce the chance of a reliable lock. The absence of a KJ-600 airborne early warning plane in the vicinity eliminates the carrier group's best tool for detecting stealth aircraft from above, leaving only surface-based radars and VHF search sets. VHF arrays can provide early warning, but their accuracy is too poor for weapons queuing, and their alerting range against a properly managed F-35A profile is limited. The result is a vulnerability that is not anecdotal but quantifiable. A mature Chinese carrier group, even with modern sensor fusion, can be shadowed by a disciplined stealth platform with a high probability of remaining undetected until visual range. This technical gap becomes the foundation for the information campaign that followed. 12 crisp images taken during a low pass by a P-1 patrol aircraft and from the cockpit cameras of F-35s landed on Japanese defense social accounts at noon on November 14th. The caption was simple and unmistakable: "Welcome to the neighborhood." It spread quickly. Within 2 hours, the post drew over 2 million views and 30,000 shares as defense commentators and influencers amplified the images across Japanese and English language feeds. Hashtags trended, memes circulated, and open source analysts dissected every frame, mapping deck numbers and flight lineups. Meanwhile, inside China, official PLA microblogs and state accounts imposed a sudden comment lock, freezing replies and hiding new posts about Fujian's exercise. Behind the scenes, public affairs officers on both sides monitored the viral surge, weighing each response for its potential to escalate or defuse. In the information domain, narrative control became as contested as the airspace itself. Inside the Japanese Diet, lawmakers called for closed-door briefings from defense officials, pressing for details on the Fujian incident and the effectiveness of current surveillance protocols. The November budget supplement, introduced just days after the images surfaced, specifically cited the need for enhanced intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities and proposed funding for quarterly joint drills in the Western Pacific. On the policy front, a security committee convened at the National Graduate Institute for Policy Studies, where panelists diplomats debated the risks of escalation and the merits of a standing military hotline with China. Officials weighed whether publicizing surveillance images could provoke further incidents or serve as a stabilizing deterrent. Across the region, ASEAN defense ministers issued statements urging restraint and transparency, wary of being drawn into a contest at their doorstep. The institutional response included budget adjustments, strategic reviews, and renewed calls for crisis communication. It reflected a moment when routine surveillance crossed into the realm of high-stakes signaling. In today's Western Pacific, technology and perception shape power as much as ships or jets. Every maneuver now plays out in public view, fueling regional anxiety and online rivalry alike. The contest over visibility and invisibility has only just begun. Your perspective matters more than ever. Join the conversation below.